Hello, film fans, and welcome to More Movies Weekly, number 46.
The show really finds its voice on episode 46.
This is the podcast where we like to talk about film, cinema, movies, all that sort of thing. Hollywood, alright, independent film, maybe some foreign films, who knows? My name's Greg Fisher, his name's David Roberts. How are you doing, Dave?
I'm pretty well, sir. I'm pretty damn swell. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thanks. Not too bad myself. Over the last few weeks, we have been talking about a lot of the new releases. For as far back as I can remember, we've been talking about new releases. Actually, we haven't done any older films for a while. So this week, I thought we'd go back to the 80s and have a look at Bull Durham. So yeah, Bull Durham, 1988. Directed by Ron Shelton, stars Kevin Costner, Susan Sarandon, and Tim Robbins, amongst others. A bit of a classic baseball movie, this one. It was actually voted for by one of our patrons on Patreon. Thank you, Michelle, for voting for this movie. We know you're a big Durham Bulls fan. So yeah, this seemed like a good movie to watch. I have seen it before. I've seen it years and years ago. I think it was a first-time watch for you, was it not, Dave?
It was. I've never seen it before. I think it was a bit before my time, and I just wasn't. It was an 80s film, and I never caught it when I was younger because I wasn't really into like baseball movies when I was younger. I guess that was a very like 80s thing, wasn't it? There's lots of baseball movies back then.
Yeah.
So it never really hit me. So yeah, it was a first time watch. We checked it out. It was good fun. It was good fun.
And Jimmy Two Times, who got that nickname because he said everything twice, like...
I'm gonna go get the papers.
Yes, it was. It is. And will be again, no doubt. This is a time where Kevin Costner was like the king of Hollywood. He was on top of his game. Everything he starred in was like a hit movie. It's also got Susan Sarandon and Tim Robbins, who I think got married after working on this film together, and I think are still together now. It's one of those famous couples. But funnily enough, the movie itself is kind of a bit of a love triangle going on.
Yeah.
So, baseball movies, as you pointed out, are a thing, even for Kevin Costner, because the other famous one is Field of Dreams, which also stars him.
The next year, yeah.
I remember things like Major League as well with Charlie Sheen, and there was, I think, a sequel to that, or at least a couple of sequels. There's loads of them. There's like comedy baseball movies. There's like serious biopics, something like 42, which came out the other year with Chadwick Boseman, which is more of a, as I say, a biographical picture about actual players and things that happened. This is obviously a fiction with Bull Durham, but I would say this falls more into, it is a comedy, but it falls more into sort of romantic comedy.
Yeah, it's a rom-com, definitely, yeah.
But not your sort of standard type of rom-com because, as I say, you've got a sort of baseball element wedged in there. So you do get bits, cuts to the games. And it's the whole thing about the Bulls being a bit of an underdog team. They're a minor league baseball team as well, not the majors. And the whole bit is that Kevin Costner's come back to basically coach their promising young pitcher, who is played by Tim Robbins, and his character's name is Ebby Calvin LaLoosh. What a name that is, LaLoosh. Hey, LaLoosh, which I just find hilarious. But Tim Robbins in this film, what is he like?
Yeah, Tim Robbins is great in this as Nuke. It's a really fun film, and I think it is about the stars, isn't it? It's about Costner, Sarandon, and Robbins, and this is kind of before they have their biggest hits, I guess. This is them together in a film before a few years later. I mean, probably Costner's biggest was probably The Bodyguard and Dances with Wolves, just a few years later. Of course, for Robbins, Shawshank Redemption. And of course, Sarandon would go on, Thelma and Louise, probably the biggest a few years later. So this is kind of like them just a little bit young together in a great film, proving who they are. And they all smash it. it's well written. I think that's the key thing of it. You know, the relationships between them. You believe the characters. You believe the relationships that are going on. The triangle, and the relationship Crash and Nuke. You know, the kind of mentor to the young stud kind of thing. It's brilliant. Kind of the harsh lessons throughout. All the comedy bits of telling the batter what ball he's going to throw and stuff like that is all fantastic throughout. That they're the fun kind of believable characters throughout it, and that's what makes it work. Yeah,
you've got this element where Kevin Costner's character Crash Davis, another great name there, Crash, what a name. He's brought in to coach the upcoming young pitcher Lelouch, but also Sarandon is. It's kind of like she's the central character, really, because she follows the team about. Straight away at the start, she says, I worship at the altar of baseball. So she's kind of like, in a way, she's her own sort of coach herself, or at least a mentor, because the whole idea is to get Lelouch into the majors, isn't it? He's being groomed to go to the major leagues, to the show, as they call it. I'm going to the show. Costner's obviously on the other end of his career where, did he ever make it to the – I don't think he ever made it to the big leagues himself. He was like a minor league star.
He did. He said on the coach, if you remember, at one point, he goes, I was there for 20 days.
Oh, there we go. He's there for 20 days. Hardly enough time to even throw a pitch. But he's a catcher, but also he's almost coming up on the record of minor league home runs as well. So there's that element to it. It was kind of cool. But they're both trying to sort of mentor Tim Robbins' character. She's doing it from the bedroom. Obviously, Costner is doing it from the baseball diamond. And there is a massive sexual tension, of course, between Costner's character and Sarandon's as well. So that creates this love triangle. But that makes for some fun viewing. That makes for some fun stuff. Like you've said before, this movie absolutely stinks of the 80s.
Yeah, and it stinks of Americana as well.
Yes, absolutely. But as I said to you after we'd watched it, for me, the central theme of Bull Durham is men's lib.
Yeah.
Rather than women's lib, it's like men's lib. Case in point, when they're all sort of stood around the mound discussing their problems, and the coach sends his like number 2 out there to find out what's going on. And he's like, what the hell's going on here? And they're like, well, he's got a problem with this. He's pissed off about that. And it's like this whole, they're like a knitting circle in a way.
We're dealing with a lot of shit.
Venting off about their problems.
Yeah. And the whole sort of like sexual revolution that will have happened in the 80s and stuff as well, where, things have become a lot more liberal. Things are, it's a different decade. It's a different era for a lot of different things. And in a way, this is kind of like, it's got a strong central character, female character in Sarandon, because she's a complete boss. She doesn't take any messing. She's all over it, And it's the men really that are dancing around her. And Costner's character won't kind of dance to her tune for quite a while, even though he's kind of crazy about her and she's crazy about him, really. But they've got this this mission between them to get Lelouch to the majors, and therein is the sort of plot of the film, really. But I find it like quite a sort of like men's lib film in terms of, this is one of the first American movies we'll see where men are dealing with these issues from a sort of non-macho element, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's interesting that way, isn't it? Because it kind of contrasts, the kind of, well, they try to say macho sport. I don't think baseball's a very macho sport myself, but it kind of gives that thing if it's a sport movie. So there's that kind of natural inclination of it being macho. But as you say, it's very like interpersonal about the players, and they're being emotional, and it's more liberating for them. So it's an interesting kind of contrast.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got a great supporting cast as well. We've got Trey Wilson in there as the coach, as Skip. He's always good. I always remember him in Raising Arizona as Nathan Arizona. Very
Absolutely.
good. Robert Wool as his second in command as Larry. He's always funny. Remember him from Batman 1989. Great actor of the day. Certainly good wisecracker. Comes up with some real funnies. But, a lot of the comedy in the film comes from Tim Robbins, really, doesn't it? And his iconic performance as Lelouch, really.
Yeah, it's hilarious. He's great in it. He kind of really sets the stall down of what he can do here, really. You can see it's a kind of breakout performance from him, really. That's like, okay, this guy's funny.
Gets tied to the bed and she reads Walt Whitman to him all night long.
Oh, she read poetry to me all night. It's more tiring than fucking.
And this is what I mean about, it's like men getting in touch with their more sort of feminine side. Things like poetry there and things like that. She's tried to sort of draw this side of them out in terms of them not thinking too much. Don't think too much. That's the whole mantra, isn't it? Don't think, just feel, just do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, baseball movies. There's a thing, and Bull Durham has got to be one of the major leaguers. I think we have an article up on the website as well. Our top 9 baseball movies for anyone fans of baseball movies wants to check that out. We'll put a link in the description below. Bull Durham is certainly one of them. Got some absolutely iconic scenes. I love that scene where they're out in the alleyway, behind the bar, and it's like, I'm betting you couldn't hit water if you fell out of a fucking boat.
From what I hear, you couldn't hit water if you fell out of a fucking boat.
Well, yeah, there we go. I mean, what's your favourite baseball movie? Let us know in the comments below. But yeah, other than that, Dave, I think we're all struck out. So yeah, talking about baseball, right? I want to tell you a little story here. This is a softball, right? It ain't soft. It's really hard, in fact. Just like any other baseball. I think the major difference is it's a lot bigger than a baseball. But I've had this mitt and this softball for years. Somebody went to Canada that I knew years ago, and they brought me it back as a sort of a little prezi there. So I've always had it, kept it for years. And about, 10, 11, maybe 12 years ago, I went out to the field down here at the park with a friend of mine, and this other guy who was a neighbor at the time who had a baseball bat. And the three of us went over to the field, one baseball bat, my softball mitt, just to have a little bit of a bat around and a catch and all that. So one of us was pitching, one of us was batting, and the other one had the glove and was catching. And that was just what we did. Just an afternoon of fun on a sunny day down in the park. So turns around, my turn to pitch, and this guy who's my neighbor with the baseball bat, he was batting, and my friend was catching. And anyway, pitched the softball at him. He whacked the ball as hard as he could. I mean, without any thought, just gave it so much welly, bang, and the thing flew towards me in the crotch area. Before I could even do anything, it was there, bang, hit me right in the crotch, checked me out, lying on the field for the next 20 minutes going, not able to talk. So I've always found it funny that they call it a softball, because that's the last thing it is. The last thing it is soft.
And Jimmy 2 Times, who got that nickname because he said everything twice, like...
I'm gonna go get the papers,
You would not, I mean, to be honest, I got over it, I recovered, I was all right after half an hour or so. And if it hit me in the face, it would have broke my nose or bust my teeth or something. So in a funny way, I was kind of grateful that it didn't. But that leads me on to talking about weekend just gone. I watched Jackass Forever. So this is the 4th installment of Jackass to come along. I think it's 20 years after they made the first film. So they're all in their late 40s. maybe even early 50s, some of them now, Johnny Knoxville and that, still at it. Obviously not all of them. One of them's died. Bam Margera was fired off the project before it got going properly, so he wasn't in it. So they've kind of replaced a few of those guys with new, young, fresh meat, so to speak. But they're doing the same sort of thing again. The reason I mention it is, in one part of it, one of them wears a cup and has one of the fastest softball pitchers in the game. I can't remember her name now, but hopefully we'll play a clip of it here. And she basically pitches at him in the groin area, but he's wearing a cup, so the whole thing is, he just takes one for the team, as they say.
It's a softball. Nothing soft about this fucking ball. It's just bigger.
She's got this amazing technique where she's swinging her arm backwards and throwing it underneath. And anyway, it brought tears to my eyes watching it because of that story I've just told you, where it actually happened to me. I wasn't wearing a cup because I wasn't expecting to get whacked like that. And plus, he was batting it as well, so I got it. But after watching this Jackass film, I was like, oh my God, I know how much that hurts.
So, it's any good, Jackass?
It's pretty much more of the same, got the same silly, crazy stunts. It's, it's a load of guys getting their willies out and, doing strange things to one another. A lot of stunts and pranks and pretty much more of the same, even Johnny Knoxville even gets knocked over by a bull in it again and taken away in an ambulance. It's like he seems to do it every movie, gets flipped by a bull. But it's kind of one of them where you think, if you loved Jackass back in the day, you'd watch it and probably get something out of it. But if you weren't mad crazy about it, it's just a little bit like, oh God, these guys, it's a bit pathetic them still doing it at this age.
Yeah, I was surprised they're still doing it, because I saw the first one back in the day, and I know it was crazy for a while, wasn't it? It was like Jackass was
biggest show on MTV at the time. Yeah, it was massive.
And then it seemed to just disappear quietly, but it's obviously still been going on over the years in its various forms.
I think because it sort of evolved in a time pre-internet, really, pre-phones and everything anyway, and viral videos and everything that we're kind of familiar with now. It was like videotape days. They were all sort of half of them were skateboard guys and they're Bam Margera and stuff like that. But it seems to be time comes around, they must all need another paycheck. So they put themselves in the line of fire again. But, there's some stuff in there. There's one where they're all in this, they get locked in this room and they think there's a rattlesnake in there with them, which there isn't. It's just Johnny Knoxville throwing a rubber snake at them and hitting them with a taser. But, it's a bit silly maybe, it's one of them. It was maybe funny 20 years ago, but 20 years on, it's a little bit sad, really, a bit pathetic. But yeah, for fans of that sort of thing, they'll probably enjoy it. I think it's probably a little bit much of a muchness these days, so it's missable. I wouldn't give it a top score. They've done their best work.
Okay, so just some movie news. Firstly, picking up on something we talked about back on Weekly 43. Amazon obviously purchasing MGM. We spoke about back then.
Yeah.
And of course, one of the franchises they picked up is James Bond in that big mega deal. Well, it was interesting because this month, April, James Bond, all the films are landing on Amazon Prime Video.
Even the brand new one?
Even the new one. No Time to Die is going to be on there.
Oh, interesting.
Which is big news, obviously. But I also noticed, I was just scrolling through Odeon film showings yesterday, and it looks like James Bond is coming back to the cinema for the May month at least, to start with.
No Time to Die, you mean?
Yeah, No Time to Die is getting a re-release in the cinemas, as well as some of the older James Bonds as well. So Dr. No, Thunderball, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, a lot of the early Sean Connery films seem to be coming out at the pictures. And And this made me think of, we mentioned what the strategy might be from Amazon. Are we still going to get cinematic releases? What's going to be their approach? We discussed in that episode. And so this might be a little indication of, okay, Amazon's prepared to not only put all the catalogue on their streaming platform, but put it out into the cinemas and take that approach as well and use up some of their older catalogue, which I thought was really interesting.
It is interesting. I mean, the old Connery films and stuff, a lot of people, new generations won't have seen them on the big screen. I know I certainly haven't seen any of the Connery films. I don't think I've even seen any of the Roger Moore films on the big screen. That's interesting. Do you know if that's just with Odeon then, or is that they're going to release in other cinema chains as well?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked that deeply into it. I've only looked at the Odeon, but I would take a guess that it will be across cinemas, because usually when these things happen, certainly like the anniversary film releases, like The Godfather recently, that was across all chains and stuff.
Yeah.
So I would imagine if they're taking that approach, it's probably across multiple franchises, you would imagine.
Selected theatres.
But it's something we've talked about a lot in terms of it'd be really great to get old films back into the cinema so you get a chance to see things that you couldn't see because you were too young at the time and it's 30 years ago and, you weren't born and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'd certainly love to see Goldfinger on the big screen. That's probably my favourite Bond, Sean Connery Bond. Or maybe Diamonds Are Forever as well. I like that one.
Yeah, there's a few from that period. I'd love to see From Russia With Love, actually, as well, because that's one of my favourites. I'd love to see that on the big screen.
It's classic, isn't it?
But yeah, so I mean, it'd be great because we've never had the opportunity, of course. We weren't born when they came out.
No.
So to be able to go and watch them on the big screen would be a wonderful experience.
Definitely. And as you said, something we've talked about before and sort of said we wish happened more often. So that's cool. I'd definitely go and see one or two of them, definitely. So that's coming in May, is it?
May is the start of some of the films. What I'm assuming will happen is they'll do a first batch and then maybe the month after you'll get some more or something like that,
Some more.
There'll be
Roger
Moore.
I must warn you, I'm Roger Moore. Who? Roger Moore.
And just another quick item, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Sonic 2 has just come out at the pictures, of course. While its opening weekend has broken the record again for a video game adaptation at the cinema, breaking the record set previously by Sonic the Hedgehog 1. It's made the most money for any film that's a video game adaptation. Mm-hmm. I think prior to these Sonic the Hedgehog films, it was the Mario Brothers film back in 1990 or something like that.
So none of the Mortal Kombat's managed to.
I don't think they broke any box office records, unfortunately. So yeah, it seems like it's been a smash hit. Sonic the Hedgehog. Are you a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog?
I used to like the game, the first game, going back all those days, like Sega Mega Drive, the first Sonic game. And I can't admit to having played it ever since. I didn't really fancy the film when it came out. It just didn't seem like my sort of thing. I do like Jim Carrey and stuff, but I just didn't really gravitate towards it. But I have since found out, apparently it's a very well-regarded film and it's got a really fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes, etc., as we found out about when we did our article about video game adaptations, which you can see on our website. We'll put, again, a link in the description below. But no, I haven't seen the first one. Possibly interested to now just to see it from that point of view, just to get a handle on it and,
Yeah, I think I haven't seen it and I'd definitely be interested now. I obviously played Sonic in the past, like yourself, but I didn't catch it because obviously it just looked like a silly movie. But as you say, now you've seen the critical regard years later and it's supposed to be a really good film. I would be interested to check it out and see.
It makes you just want to watch it just to see, well, all right, then everybody's saying it's so good. It's got really good ratings everywhere. It's got a high score and stuff. So it'd be interesting to watch and see why, and maybe come back and think, that, fair dues, that was really good. Or either that or come back and think, I don't know what everyone's talking about. There's a load of bollocks.
It might surprise us a bit like the Paddington films, because, of course, before watching the Paddington films, I thought, Paddington Bear films or whatever, and then you watch them and go, bloody hell, they're brilliant.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Could be like that. And Jim Carrey's usually good in these sort of roles. It's good bit of fun. So, yeah, I'd give it a watch. Well, that just leaves us enough time to tell you what else we've been up to on the internet. And here on our YouTube channel this week, we have a reaction to The Outfit, starring Mark Rylance, Johnny Flynn. It's a forthcoming sort of, I suppose, what is it, sort of gangster kind of bottle movie. Some sort of tense drama. All takes place within the space of one night in somebody's tailor's outfitting shop, by the look of it. Anyway, if you're interested to check that trailer out and our reaction to it, there is a link in the description below.
Absolutely. We've also got a review up this week on the website and, of course, here on the channel, Film and 5. It's Studio 666. Greg has reviewed that film fantastically. And, there'll be a link in the description down below for you to check that out.
We also have an article, our top 5 Michael Curtiz films. He's a director that kind of an old school, early 20th century, early to mid 20th century director, but done some of the most iconic movies ever produced in that golden era. So that's another one to add to our ever-growing collection of top 5 directors articles. Again, you can check that out on our website. There's a link in the description below.
Absolutely. And if you would like to listen to us in audio-only format, we're there across the major podcast platforms. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. So you can check them out with the link in the description down below.
And why not join us on social media? We are at More Movies For You on all the major social media platforms. Come and say hi to us on Twitter or Instagram or one of those. We also have a Discord server, so if you want to come and have a live chat with us over there, all these links are in the description below.
And if you enjoy what we're doing here on the channel and would like to support us, you can pop on over to buymeacoffee.com, buy us a cappuccino, frappe, latte, whatever you'd like. That helps us keep things going, and we really appreciate it. Or you can jump over to Patreon and subscribe to one of our Patreon packages, where you can vote on films that we like to see or films we review. Of course, Bull Durham was one of the ones that was voted for by our Patreons this week. So, yeah, if you want to support what we do, you can hop on over there. The links are in the description down below.
And there we go, friend. We are at the end of the innings. That's it now. It's a no-score draw for us two. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. We really do appreciate your support. Any comments, likes on the videos, donations to the Buy Me a Coffee, and, of course, our wonderful patrons over at patreon.com. We appreciate you all. And that's it for this week, Dave. Any final thoughts before we go?
Just, I think we've knocked that out the park.
It's a home run from Dave. Well, that's it for this video. Please leave us a comment and let us know what you thought. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe right here on YouTube. To check out more of our articles and reviews, check out our website, moremovies.co.uk. And why not join us on social media? That's at More Movies For You across the board. You know the score. And if you'd like to support us, consider buying us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com, or you can become a More Movies patron over on patreon.com. All the links are in the description below. And to check out more of our filmtastic videos, click one of the buttons on screen now.